On Monday, Trump meets with the French president, and together they answer questions mostly about Ukraine. President Macron said that France will support Ukraine in any way, and that Russia is the aggressor, but he got no promises from Trump either way. And when Trump was asked if Putin was a dictator, he said, "I would not choose those words lightly." Critics found those comments to be odd, considering Trump had no problem quickly calling Ukraine's president a dictator when Ukraine did not give Trump the rare earth materials that he wanted. The next day, Karoline Leavitt gave another press briefing where she credited Trump with several achievements, such as Apple's plan to invest $500 billion in the US, as well as a 15-year low in illegal border crossings. But the big news she wanted to tout was her team's initial victory over the Associated Press. A federal judge refused to immediately restore the AP's access to presidential events because the AP did not suffer any irreparable harm. However, the judge warned the White House that the law was not on Trump's side for barring the AP, and that it seemed pretty clear that it was discrimination. He then set a hearing for March 20th when a possible ruling could be made. Despite that the case was still ongoing, Karoline made it seem that it was a clear victory for her team. She said that the Trump administration was taking power away from the oppressive, independent White House Correspondents Association and giving the power back to the people by creating a new group called the White House Press Team that Trump controls. Then on Wednesday, we all got to watch an AI-generated video of what Trump Gaza could be. Trump's team did not create it, but they did repost it on their official White House account in the just trolling but not really style that Trump is known for. Critics say that despite the video's absurdity, it does more to highlight Trump's callous viewpoint towards innocent Palestinians whose lives have been horrifically lost, diminished, and/or displaced. The next day, Trump met with the UK Prime Minister, where they discussed Ukraine, NATO, and trade. The Prime Minister was all for backing Ukraine no matter what, whereas Trump said that he was all for ending the war by making a deal that included Ukraine giving up three things: some territory, NATO membership, and rare earth minerals. Trump also stumbled a couple times when asked two questions 2 times by the press. The first was when Trump was asked if he still thinks Ukraine's president is a dictator. Trump said, "Did I say that? I can't believe I said that. Next question." The second time Trump was asked if he would apologize for calling Zelenskyy a dictator while praising Putin, who is a dictator. This time, Trump sidestepped answering the question completely. The other question he was asked twice was for Trump to explain his thinking about how foreign countries will pay for tariffs when it's really American importers and consumers who will pay for the tariffs. Trump said, "No, I think they're paid for by other countries." Then he quickly wrapped up his response and moved on to the next question. When asked the same question again, he said that is a myth put out there by other countries who don't like paying tariffs. Then on Friday, Trump met with the Ukrainian president in the Oval Office, where the two engaged in a heated argument. Zelenskyy said that he needs a deal with the US that guarantees his country's security from Russia, and that if Russia is allowed to get away with taking over land, Putin will continue to invade his neighbors, and if that happens, Americans will eventually feel its effects on their shores. Both J.D. Vance and Trump felt that Zelenskyy's stance, which is similar to President Biden's and the EU's, would not allow for a deal to be made with Russia, and that it would prolong the war. Instead, they said that Zelenskyy should be thankful that Trump is even talking with Putin and that a peace deal is even in sight. The next day, we learned that House Republicans are turning up the heat to impeach judges that stand in the way of Trump's agenda. This idea has been echoed by Elon Musk, who says the only way to restore a rule of the people in America is to impeach judges who block Trump's agenda to save democracy. Representative Eli Crane of Arizona, who just filed articles of impeachment against a judge, said that if these partisan judges want to be politicians, they should resign and run for office. Of course, to them, these partisan judges are simply any judge who sides with their interpretation of the law over Trump's agenda. Critics say that despite the fact that the impeachment of a judge would be highly unlikely to succeed in the Senate, because it would need 2/3 of a majority to succeed, this rhetoric from the right is being used to intimidate judges and works to erode the Constitution's separation of powers. Finally, on Sunday, we learned that the Secretary of Defense ordered the Pentagon to stop cyber operations against Russia. The goal, according to the Trump administration, is to ease tensions with Russia in order to begin peace negotiations with Putin and not derail them. Former Pentagon officials say that this is a common practice to resume diplomacy, while critics say that this is a gamble to let down our guard, especially with Putin, because we don't know if he'll reciprocate the gesture or take advantage of it.